Rick says, put that on that.
All right, guys, a gentleman came in with this beautiful black 69 convertible Camaro you got right here and decided he wanted to upgrade it. He was talking about some suspension changes, engine transmission, a few other things. He wanted basically a better ride, better performance, better brakes, and just overall better vehicle, but he didn't want to change the outside at all. He likes his paint job. It's unique to him. He likes his interior. He didn't want to get crazy with that, but he did want to upgrade his ride. And so we actually were in the process of building a 67 Camaro. And so we're going to go over and look at that, and I'm going to talk to you about that. We were actually in the process of upgrading this 67 Camaro with an Extreme IRS chassis from SpeedTech. It's a complete chassis. We had to cut the entire floor out. It's got the cantilevered rear axle. It's basically as much as you could possibly upgrade for this car, which is actually a beautiful upgrade because being a convertible, they've got a lot more flex than the hardtop, and so having the whole floor come out and putting a complete solid chassis underneath makes for a much better ride overall. And of course, their suspension's incredible. It drives like a dream. I've driven in and ridden in race cars with this exact chassis, and they're beautiful. I love it. Can't wait till this one's done. So we told the guy, hey, we've got this right here. I mean, this would be the extreme of where you could go. And he looked at it and he said, you know what? I want that. All right, well, we got you. So check it out as we get started on this beautiful project. Today we're going to be going through the teardown and prepping for the new chassis on his 69 Camaro. We're not going to touch the outside. We're going to keep it all intact, paint job intact, kind of like we did with this one. This one is going to remain a driver, not going to repaint it anything, and he wants the same thing. He just wants new performance, wants to drive and operate like a new race car and keep the same exterior look. So let's get started, guys. All right, guys, in order to strip this car down, first thing we got to do is we got to take all the fluids out of the car. We got to drain all the fluids. Once we get all the fluids out of it, we're going to actually pull the front fenders, the wheel wells, the grill, everything off of it. We're going to start stripping down the front end, prepping it so that we can take out the subframe. Then we're just going to drop the subframe out with the engine and the transmission and everything. So here, we're going to go through, start stripping all the wiring from the front of the car. And it's really critical that everything is disconnected before we pull it apart though. So, you just have to double check everything. You don't want to rip anything off of the body. So all the connections between the firewall need to be removed. Remove the brake lines from the master cylinder, remove all the plumbing, remove the drive shaft from the transmission and from the rear axle. Really just make sure everything's disconnected. You can drop it out. So one of the things I really like about these Camaros is the way the whole subframe drops out with the engine and the transmission. So we're going to be able to drop that out all at once. These body dollies make this job a lot easier. We're essentially just going to drop this subframe right onto the body dolly and then lift the car up and roll that stuff out of here. It's really a simple process, takes a little time, but easy to do. Tearing down, it's always easier than putting them back together. A lot easier. As we can see, we still got a few wires hanging out there we've got to remove. So it's just really important that we have everything separated before completely removing the subframe out. Now, we're going to get started taking out all the wiring, stripping all the wiring and everything else out of the car so we can prep it to stick on our Fireball tool chassis table. We'll go ahead and stick this subframe out of the way somewhere for using something else. We'll see if the owner wants it back, and if not, we'll sell it to somebody looking for a subframe and just apply that to the owner's account. So now that we've got everything out of the car, what we're going to do is we're actually going to roll our Fireball tool chassis table up underneath the car. Robbie's built a couple of rails to sit up next to the pinch welds of the car. What we're going to do is we're going to lower it down onto the rails very carefully. We've got to make sure it's lined up perfectly, and then we'll strap it to the table so it can't move. Once it's secured, we're going to roll it back and get to work. All in all, real easy process to put this car on a Fireball chassis table. Real slick system. It is heavy, so it does take a few people to move, but actually it's pretty easy to move around. Once you get it rolling, it rolls really smooth. We have no problems there. And ultimately, it's going to make our life easy with all the fixture holes and the flat table surface. Being able to use this Fireball table is going to be a game changer for us in our shop. installing chassis and building chassis and vehicles. It's always a complicated process. So this just made it a whole lot easier for us. A couple of really important things that have to happen before we start cutting this apart is we're going to have to build some bracing. It's very important, especially because this is a convertible. It could flex a lot. We need to brace up everything before we cut the floor out. So we're going to get it all braced up and then cut the floor out. Robbie is going to continue to build a support system and secure it to the chassis table from there. All in all, really easy process. Like most things, just time consuming, and with the right knowledge, it's easy. So guys, as you can see, we're now at the phase. We've got the whole floor cut out of it. It's all braced properly. All this stuff is done. It's sitting beautifully on this Fireball tool chassis table. By the way, best table in the world, easy to use, 100% flat, great. All kudos to them. We love working with them. Also, they just got great customer service. They're great people to deal with. But as you can see though, and this is really common in these cars, is there's a lot of rust in this rocker. So all the way through here, it's kind of eaten through. And so we can't let that sit. Some guys might just try to kill the rust and weld around it and fix it, but that's not how we do things here. That's coming out, we're replacing it, new steel's going in, and there's a little bit more in the back here, not as bad, but anywhere there's some rust that's more than just surface rust is just coming out. It's on both sides, on the back, all that's coming out, new steel, and then we'll get to installing the new chassis from SpeedTech. So over here, you got everything old. Although this guy had upgraded this Camaro at some point, somebody had upgraded it. They've definitely upgraded, this subframe, and have done some work on it. They've put in a different motor and transmission. This isn't what came with the car. These A-arms aren't what came with the car. So there were some upgrades, but it still lacked a lot. The technology wasn't there. Pretty basic setup. Good, but not as good as it's gonna get. So this is all of our old stuff. Most of this is all going away. Rear axle, subframe, engine, transmission, all that's going away. What we've got here is our SpeedTech frame. This is the main frame for the chassis that's going into this car. So the rest of the components show up any day now. They're already on a truck. I actually expected them today, but this is the main frame, exactly like that Camaro right there has. And over the next several days, we're going to get that steel replaced and we're going to put that into this car. So stay tuned for that. That'll be the end of this video for this one. Stay tuned for the installation of the chassis and the floor, and on from there. New engine, new transmission, new wiring. Outside it's going to look the same. Everything inside is going to be new.
Rick says, put that on that.
We got it, Rick.
We got it.
We're going to do it.